coast, 16 feet long. It has these little, so I can loosen one up, has ratcheted closures. Overall, this went together a little bit easier than the bay. I did have a bay model before. This does go together a little bit quicker. But we'll see how it is in the water. So I'm out here at the Monksville Reservoir in New Jersey. This is the maiden voyage for my Coast Plus kayak. So far, so good. It handles very well. It tracks very well. It's maneuverable. It has all the qualities that I like. Seems fairly fast. I don't have a GPS to clock the speed, but I can say it's definitely faster than the bay that I had, the Oru Bay kayak. The Oru Bay kayak was very nice. Nice trade-offs. Very lightweight, 25 pounds, 27 pounds. This one is 35 pounds, a little heavier, harder to move around, but it really is pretty nice so far. More later. Here's this is the Oru Coast unfolded. To your right over here is the floorboard. This would be the stern, the assembly parts, which is one of the bulkheads, another bulkhead, a seat which is thicker than it was in the bay, a backrest which is more comfortable than it was in a bay, a couple of deck seals, the deck webbing, front bulkhead, bow bulkhead, and the bow. Okay, on the bow and the stern there are these straps which you press the boat in to form the hull, the V, the bow thing, and you just tighten this up. Makes it much easier, gives the boat some shape to complete the assembly. One of the nicer features on the boat are these ratchets. They allow to easily put in the strap, and you can ratchet it closed. I'm not ready yet, I'm still assembling the boat, but it is a nice retention system so far. Okay, we're moving towards the stern of the Coast Plus. This is a Marmot 20-degree sleeping bag, a Noah's tarp, some pots and pans, a Coleman liquid fuel stove, and a Hubba one-person tent. There's plenty of extra room. These bulkheads are not watertight. You'd probably want to put this in flotation bags or waterproof, airtight bags, so you'd be adding to flotation. There is more room in the rear. I'd probably have an inflatable flotation bag here or gear, and there's plenty of room for gear here. A watertight gear bag. Let's see how much I can fit in here. There's a Noah's tarp. There's that. There's the stove. I don't think the tent would fit in here. So it might if I pack it down. So there's plenty of room in the rear of this thing for overnight camping, a longer tour. I'm pretty gear heavy when I go on trips, but I think I could pack this pretty full. Not sure how it would do when a heavy weighted boat hits some rocks, dragging that hull across, but I'm going to find out at some point. Again, there's a lot of room in the front too. I didn't photograph that. I'll open it up. Okay, this is the bow of the Coast Plus, and this is in front of the front bulkhead. You know, your feet would go here on the trapeze footrest, and a tent and a lot of other stuff would fit up here, food and things. Again, I want to put it in a watertight bag, so if this thing floods, I'd have less water to pump out. I've not done wet rescues, self-rescue yet, but I will try it this summer when it gets warm enough. The water's too cold now. So that's the backyard report of the Coast Plus, and some gear in it. I have had it out in the water once. I plan to take it out again today. It is pretty good. Let me assemble it and I'll show you the bottom. Okay, I hope you can see this. This is the cockpit closure. Let me see if I can get it on here. Yeah, and I am using the ratchet, and it's helping pull together the pieces that go together. Yeah, there we go. So This does make it somewhat easier. A female alone, without a lot of upper body strength, might consider the Coast Plus or the Bay Plus, because the ratchets do make it a little bit easier. I'm going to let go with this. There it goes. It's actually a little easier than I'm showing it, but I did have the Bay. I had the straps and the clips, and this is definitely easier, but it costs more. A few details. The bow fairing, this rubber piece that goes on, very nicely made. Y connection, clips on here that holds the bow thing tight. I think overall the boat's pretty good looking. Somewhat transparency to it, but it looks good in the water in sunlight and all. Not that that matters. At least it's not ugly. Bow lines are on here. They look strong enough to hang on to if you fall out of your boat. And the other stern fairing is over here. Okay, the business part of a kayak is the underside, the hull. Okay, so one other thing. There's a hole here. That hole is for the optional thigh braces I bought. I hope to use those today. If I stop fooling around out here in the backyard, I'm going to get on the water. But that's pretty important. The boat, I'll give the specs later, but the boat is fits better with thigh braces. Okay, flip it over. Okay, on a kayak, the business end is the lower part. This hull, looking at the bow now, a little hard to see in this light, but there are flat spots. These are chines, okay? And there are a couple of them. I would describe this hull, there's a flat part here, slight angular chine here, slight angular chine there. So we'll come over to the side, there's a big flat spot on the side. Going down the hull, starting to form a V for the stern. Okay, and here's a much steeper V shape. Okay, I'm going to run my hand up. Okay, here's where it starts to flatten out, right about where I'm sitting. Okay, so what does all this mean? Here's where I'm sitting. Pretty wide, pretty flat. Good initial stability. I haven't had it out in rough water. I've leaned it. Seems pretty controllable. Stability, initial stability is a flat bottom boat. You sit in it, it's real comfortable, very stable, doesn't feel tippy at all. The Bay felt tippier when I first got in it. Nothing that you couldn't handle. This is normal. This one feels a bit more stable. Secondary stability is when you roll the boat to one side, you'll feel resistance when it hits that flat spot on the side. That's secondary stability. Often, and there's a lot of ways to do that through curves and other things, but often people who are sea kayakers, or sometimes some sea kayakers, prefer low initial stability. That means it's tippy when you sit in it. And they want good secondary stability, so when they're in rough water, leaning the boat into the waves, it is an asset. I'm not a very good kayaker. I have many years experience, many years, and I've owned about 12 or a dozen boats. Soft skin, hard skin, touring, sea kayaks, and 8-foot fun boats, etc. So I have experience. I paddled around Manhattan in a group. I wouldn't do it alone. That's 35 miles. I did that in a 15-foot boat. This is a 16-foot boat. I'd want a 16-foot boat. This boat seems to go pretty well the one time I had it out. It's faster than the Bay. It's 16 feet. The Bay is 12 feet. You'd expect that. Sorry for the ums, but that's the way I talk. So I'm pretty impressed with the boat. It's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. It's very comfortable to just sit in and paddle around. This is a touring kayak. By touring kayak, I mean it does not have full sea kayak capability in the sense that it does not have watertight bulkheads. So I define a sea kayak as having watertight bulkheads. Other people may define it differently. When you flood a boat with watertight bulkheads, only the cockpit area floods, much easier to drain out. This boat, water's going to get from end to end. You better have flotation in it. I would put airbags in the various chambers where gear goes if I was heading out into the ocean to have less water to pump out in case I flood. I will be fooling around with this boat this summer, doing self-rescues and things to see how it works. Overall, with one paddling afternoon, a number of miles, pretty happy. I'm going out again today. I'll let you know. I think it was worth the upgrade for me, for the type of paddling I do. The Bay is a good boat, no problems, no issues. I just wanted that extra 4 feet of length to give me more speed. So that's my 2 cents. One big difference for me on this boat in the Bay, the Coast Plus in the Bay, is the saddleback is much more comfortable. The padding appears to be thicker to me from what I remember. It has a hard plastic backing and a little bit more webbing on the sides. Also, the saddle you sit on, the seat you sit on, the seat cushion, is thicker. I didn't find the Bay very comfortable. I had to put an extra layer on there in the Bay for comfort. But this one seems to be a lot more comfortable for me. I don't have to use the cushion for myself. I was using a Spenco cushion. Okay, to loosen the ratchets, I'm going to try this with one hand. I've got the camera in the other. You can tighten it by lifting this part, and to loosen it, you pull up here, and it breaks the connection, and you just slide it out. And they've even included a little pull tab to make it easier for you. The ratchets, I think, are a good addition. They cost more. But I do think they're a good addition, particularly, as I said, if you're, you don't want to muscle this boat, you don't want to force it to do things, you can break this boat if you try. If you treat it well, it'll treat you well. So if you set out to break it, like I said, you're going to break it. If you set out to use it correctly, it's going to work just fine. So I'm going to disassemble this and get kayaking. Okay, I'm out in the middle of Lake Waiwayanda in West Milford, New Jersey. This is the second time the Oru Coast Plus has been wet. I have a paddle leash, so I don't lose my paddle. I can just dip it in the water. I took an LL Bean waist pack, and I'm using that as a deck bag. It's working great, with a waterproof bag inside of it. I put on the Oru thigh braces. They're not quite adjusted correctly. I think I have to shave some plastic off them to fit correctly. So I can move them back a little further. But they're working pretty good. Everything's working great. The boat feels good. I've been able to cruise at 3.5 to 4 miles an hour. That's with the GPS. No problem. Again, initial stability is very good. Secondary stability is okay. The boat feels great. There's nothing good about that or bad about that. It's just the way it is. Different boats for different stability and different, reasons. So the boat went together fairly quick. The only problems are when I don't do it right. I'm gonna try to get behind me here. Here's a little deck hatch. I haven't really used it yet. And there's the back of the boat, the stern. All in all, nice day. Good to be out here in the middle of nowhere. I met another kayaker who took some pictures of me, which is very handy. And I think I'm going to paddle around this lake. One more thing while I'm here. I consider it a touring kayak. So the Bay, I consider a day kayak. It's good for a day trip. A touring kayak like this, I consider it, the main difference is it's longer and it goes a little faster. I had no trouble cruising at 3.5 and 4 miles an hour. That's kind of a speed I could average for a long time. And I think that's a little quicker than I could have done with the coast, with the Bay rather. So the coast is living up to its reputation as a touring kayak. I'd have no problem loading this up and going a long distance. Only thing I sorely miss are waterproof bulkheads, watertight bulkheads, but it's a folding kayak. You're not going to get that on any folding kayak. You put flotation bags in, and that's how you get your flotation. So no complaints. Happy so far. So it's calm and flat, leaning over, I start to feel secondary resistance here. Secondary stability is right about there. Trying to hold the camera flat. Okay, I think I got it flat. So it's there. Go the other way, and I start to feel resistance there. And you can feel it. It's pretty stable. I can rock back and forth, and I feel it, resist when I hit that certain point. I'm sure if I go too far, I'm going over. But very good stability in flat water. Can't wait to get it on some choppy water, quartering seas and confused waters and all that, and see how it handles then. In the meantime, I'm in a lovely little cove here. It's evening. There's nobody around. Completely quiet. The yellow bean waist pack worked perfectly. I just used the straps. I put them through the safety lines on the kayak and held them on there great. It worked as good as any deck bag I've ever used, and it only cost like $20. This one has, it's just nylon. There's no packing, there's no backing on it or anything, no padding. It's just working great. I used a reusable Ziploc bag to put the camera in and slip that in here. So there's a multi-purpose pack now. I can use it for kayaking, and when I get somewhere I can take it off and put it on my waist. So certainly a good cost-efficient bag. So I was out for a couple of hours. I probably paddled 6 or 8 miles. I could have gone a lot further. The boat goes good. It has good glide when you do a paddle. It has glides for a while. Cuts the water okay. I maxed out at around, I think, I only clocked it when I was paddling. I can do 3.5 to 4 miles an hour, as I said. No problem. That's with a GPS. I don't think you're going to get above 5 miles an hour. That's really working. So 3.5 miles an hour, that's cruising speed. 4, you're pushing a little. Above that, you're really going to be working. I didn't clock it when I was really working. It goes, but it sort of tops out and you can't go any faster after a while. At least not me. So all in all, no complaints. Good boat. Good investment. It's not as rugged as a rigid plastic kayak. They take a lot of abuse. That's why rental companies use them. This one though, you can put it in your car, put it under your bed. It's a good option. Treat it nicely, and I think it'll hold up well. If you're one of those ham-fisted people that breaks things before you even get them out of the box, you know, if you like to force things, you like to really push your way into something, that's not going to work on this boat. You've got to put it together. It'll go together if you're doing it right. You can't force it together wrong, or you're going to break something. I think I'm very happy with the quality and workmanship and the materials and the durability. So, given a choice between my 16-foot rigid plastic kayak, which was a Prion Kayak, and the Oru Coast, which is 16 feet, would I rather have the rigid kayak? Maybe. But I don't have room for it. And this boat is really great. At 16 feet, it folds up. It's lightweight, 35 pounds. The Kayak was, I think, 55 pounds. This one's very seaworthy. It's very comfortable. I can move around in the cockpit. I could change positions. The padding was comfortable. Position was good. The thigh braces worked nicely. I need to tune them a little bit for the next trip. But all in all, this is a good boat. Look at it. It's tiny. I can put it in my garage with my trailer and not take up any space. So I'm pretty happy. It gets me on the water. If you have a space problem, storage problem, this is a great solution. I've owned other folding kayaks. I owned a skin and frame kayak. It was wooden ribs. You put it together. It's a lot like the Folbot or Klepper or Fast Feather, those type of boats. I think this is a nice, I like this one better than any of those. I haven't owned all those. The one that I had was sort of a no-name, but I'm familiar with skin and frame kayaks, and I think this is a way better solution. I like it much better. Their vulnerability of a skin and frame kayak is if you land on rocks, which nobody recommends you should do that, but you end up doing it anyway. The Hypalon skin is going to wear where it touches the frame, between the frame and the rock. That Hypalon skin gets abraded there. They do reinforce them. I think this one will do a little better on that count. This boat, I wouldn't, since it's a touring kayak, I plan to camp with it. I don't think I would load it up with many pounds of stuff and want to do a hard landing. I think I'd want to do a wet landing where I get out of the boat before I bring the boat on land. I usually enter it that way also. I like my equipment to last, and I think that gives it a lot more forgiving treatment. I know I've seen videos of people launching from rocks with this boat. It can be done. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't, and I want the boat to last. I don't think it's going to damage it, but I want it to last. Now, going down a river with a fully loaded boat and me and a lot of food, hitting a rock, well, that remains to be seen how the skin holds up on that. So all in all, I think it's a good multi-use boat. I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. And today was the second day I've used it, and I'm real happy. As I mentioned, I had 2 bay kayaks before I bought the Coast Kayak. I live west of New York City in New Jersey, and I put those boats on, the 2 bays I put on Craigslist. Both of them sold to New Yorkers. One person lived in Manhattan in an apartment, and he wanted to use the kayak on the Hudson River. And the other person lived in Queens and wanted to use the kayak at Jamaica Bay. So, perfect solution for somebody who is pressed for space. See if I can roll it up. A little unsteady yet. Okay. Come in. You can stop it there. You just press that red dot again. Okay, and you can try a couple of stills.